Thank you. Mr. Bramble, we have a roll call, please.
Mr. Loudermilk. Ms. Alsop.
Here.
Ms. Weger.
Here.
Mr. Thacker.
Here.
Ms. Thies.
Here.
Mr. Norris.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Okay, to start off with, we'll have communication from elected officials, other officials or agencies of the county. And we have Mr. Witt from
Yep.
Redevelopment Commission.
Yep. Good afternoon, council members. You should have something that looks like that, a report. And this is prepared by Baker Tilly. And Jason Simler was going to be here tomorrow night. And since the meeting was moved, I'm standing in for him. But every year, the Department of Local Government Finance requires redevelopment commissions to put together a report, and that's uploaded through the auditor's office to the DLGF website. This year, they asked that there's a new requirement that it be presented to the county council as well, but there's no action required of the council. So it's just an FYI type. I'll be very brief. We have, and this just has to do with our 5 tax increment finance areas in the Vigo County Industrial Park and the former Pfizer property. So as you'll see, all of our TIF areas, they were created kind of in another time. Our oldest was Heartland Steel, was done in '97, and the most recent was Pfizer, which was done in 2007. And we had no outstanding bonds for any of these. All the bonds we had have been paid off, all of them early. And so you can see each TIF area, when it was established and when it'll expire. So the Heartland Steel TIF area will expire here in a couple years, and then the others will roll off as well. Just a brief summary. When we created the Heartland Steel TIF area, as many of you know, I know Todd knows, Heartland Steel was a startup steel mill, and they were needing to raise capital. So in lieu of any kind of tax abatement, they wanted the county to do tax increment finance bond issue, which we did. That was used to, it's about a $19 million bond issue. It was used to fund their temper mill. And those bonds were paid off a few years ago. Staples, we did that TIF deal back when Staples came in. The law didn't allow for a personal property tax abatement for warehouse and distribution centers, so we did a like monetary benefit to them via tax increment finance. And as I'll mention in a minute, Staples has kind of been our workforce TIF area in the industrial park. ThyssenKrupp, when they came in, they said we like TIF, we don't really want a bond issue, there's tax ramifications and so on, so we did a reimbursement thing on both their real and their personal property. And I was just looking at some stuff, Cheryl and Jim, and the real property part of that's pretty much run its course, so I'll get with you guys on that. Certainteed, when they came in, they wanted to do a TIF deal for some equipment or something. When that facility was purchased by the Mexican company, Elementia, they made Certainteed pay those bonds off early, so there's no debt service there. And then with Pfizer, we had just issued a $4 million tax increment finance bond there, and no sooner than we issue it, we didn't even have a chance to spend any money. They pulled the plug on their Exubera. So what we did with those bond proceeds, 25%, about $1 million, went to purchase what's now what we call the Vigo County Industrial Park 2, the former Pfizer property, so we used that. And then the other 3/4 of that amount went to Canal Road. We worked with the county commissioners at that time to provide funding for that. So you can see the members of our redevelopment commission members. We've got a really good commission. When it comes to tax increment, we can use funds for projects that are in serving or benefiting the TIF area. So it's been well over 10 years since I've come to the county asking for any money for any infrastructure for the industrial park, because we've used tax increment finance to do that. And there's a process to do that. We don't just spend the money. If it's not already in our economic development plan, we go to first the redevelopment commission and the area plan commission, then the county council, and then back to the redevelopment commission. But just in the past couple of years, we put in a new water main from now Saturn Pet Care Drive, but more commonly known as Pfizer Drive, all the way down to the south side of the railroad tracks that parallel Harlan Road on the south side in two parts. That was about $1.5 million we spent on that. So we didn't have to come to the council for additional appropriation in that regard. And then we've also put about $1 million into Industrial Drive, our main industrial park road from Harlan Road to ThyssenKrupp. That was a big job. We had to cut out individual sections, and that was about $1 million project as well. Again, not something that came out of the county highway department or something like that. So on page 2, you can see our expenditures versus our income from the various areas. And what I wanted to say also, for those two projects I just mentioned, we use funds from the Staples and Certainty TIF areas in regard to, that's how we funded those. So since we paid off the CSN or the Heartland Steel bonds, we've had some monies accumulating there. Staples, we pretty much, we spent a lot of money out of there, and also from Certainty, and then the ThyssenKrupp's the reimbursement type thing. On page 3, you can see the capital outlays versus the money coming in, really just a very tiny sliver. Page 4, you can see our balances, and these were as of December 31st. So the Heartland Steel or CSN TIF, we have about $3 million there. And again, that'll be expiring in 2027. So once that expires, those funds will go into the county general fund. And Staples, we have 1.9 million, Certainty 294. Pfizer, the reason why that's such a small number is when that TIF area was established, you set a base assessed value, and then once Pfizer left, we were in the hole. So we haven't quite got up. We're just getting above the hole with Saturn Pet Care, and then, of course, with Intech coming along, and then ThyssenKrupp 0. So if you turn to the next page on Certainty, you can see the incremental assessed value. Not much to report there. And this is just real property. And then on the page that has quite a number of parcel numbers, that's for the Pfizer TIF area. And the reason we have things like industrial maintenance engineering and Saturn Pet Care and so on was that the industrial maintenance engineering, that's AIS Gauging, that purchased the 606 building. So the TIF area was created before they came along, so that's why they're listed there. Saturn Pet Care is the former Exubera building. And then Tom and Vicki Harlan, the redevelopment commission sold them a little sliver of property to square up some things for them following a divorce or something.
Mr. Witt?
I'm sorry.
I think Karen's getting the other pages. Our page is stopped at page 4.
Oh,
just
I'm
so you know.
sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, all those other pages show is the parcel numbers in those, each area, and what the assessed value is for each one. So that's pretty much it in that cell. Now, another new rule this year is that prior to December 1st, we have to come back to the council with a spending plan, which we'll be doing. And if I had to put that plan together today, what it would show would be $2 million that we committed to Intech for infrastructure improvements. And they haven't told us what they want to use that yet, but it'll probably be for improvements to Harlan Road. And so that'll probably come out of the Staples and Certainty TIF areas. And then the other, we just don't know. I mean, tomorrow somebody could come along and have another project and they need infrastructure support. We like to keep that flexibility while we have these funds on hand and available, but they're definitely going away because they're old TIF areas, and the plan was always to Once the obligation was terminated, then we could get that assessed value into the general fund of the county.
So I thank you for bringing that in, and I did want to say, I should have opened up the meeting saying it, I appreciate everybody understanding why we rescheduled this meeting as Monday. Typically, it's on the first Tuesday, but I think this is a pretty historical time that we're in right now, and I didn't think we were going to have a quorum tomorrow. So that's why we rescheduled, because of the basketball. So I appreciate everybody for coming out. I'm surprised we have as many people as we do tonight because of rescheduling. So thanks for that. So any other questions for Mr. Witt?
If you have any questions, as time goes on, obviously let me know. And
Absolutely, appreciate it.
And, we have some other irons in the fire. We'll see what happens here next
Okay.
few months. So, yep.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks, everyone.
Obviously with the report that Mr. Witt's given, you can see the maneuvering, the collaboration and things that we work at every day. He covered a lot of ground, a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and I want to congratulate the Redevelopment Commission on that.
Yes. Good job. Okay. Mr. Klinkenbeard.
Good evening, council members, President Thacker. Yes, thank you for rescheduling this meeting. As you can see, I'm sporting the blue tonight in support of our Sycamores. I wanted to update you on a couple things. I think you all know that we have pulled additional appropriation 2024-41 for tonight and 2024-44. Just wanted to give you a quick update on our maintenance, storage, and morgue facility. Good news, it is on time and is on budget with possible completion in June. I believe I sent you all some pictures. They probably don't do it justice. It's quite a bit more than a pole barn, and it's pretty impressive. So it's going to serve some big needs for sure. So if you get a chance, go down there and take a look at it. But the other good news is that we did have enough left in contingencies that we are going to be able to fund the morgue cooler and any lifts that they need, as well as the lift for the Sheriff's Department area. So don't expect to come asking for any more money. And I thought that was some good news to share.
Yes.
Also, just so you all know, all local trades are being used on that job, and they're down there working hard, and it's good to see. One more quick update. We got it this morning. The generator for the courthouse. We did get a price on that, and it is going to be significantly less than what we had feared it would be. One reason is because we're going to go with a little bit smaller that will cover everything the generator used to cover, and a little bit more, but won't cover everything. But it'll be at a price of less than $400,000 as opposed to $850,000.
Did you
We are.
have a size on that?
It is a 230 kW.
230? Okay.
And I do have information on that if anybody would like to see our estimate on that. I can forward that to you. We are still waiting on insurance. I know that they have been making some calls in the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we have a resolution on that pretty soon. But I just want to give you an update on that.
Any questions from? Nobody's going to ask him the prediction for the game tomorrow? All right, there you go. Very good. That's what we like. Any other communication with elected officials, other officials, or agencies of the county before we move on? Okay. Report from committees. I don't think we have any at this time. Resolution or ordinance other than appropriations? None. Resolution ordinance other than appropriations? Then we have the ordinance related to appropriations first readings, which we're going to go right into, and we have the first one of those is additional appropriation ordinance 2024-34, Honey Creek Fire Protection Fund 8961 Facial Fire.
President Thacker, members of the Vigo County Council. I'm Joe Shackelford, the chairman of the Fire District Trustees for the Honey Creek Fire Protection District. We are requesting an additional appropriation from our 2024 CUME fund to fund a study to determine building use and the suitability of the Honey Creek Fire Station 91. That station was built in 1973 using all volunteer labor. The Honey Creek Fire Department is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. We started January 1, 1974. We started making calls. That building was designed with 3 bays and 1 bathroom and 1 office. And it was for a volunteer fire department that was making 125 responses a year. Right now, we have grown. We are making 2,425 runs as of last year. We're ahead of that already by like 40 runs for this year. So we're going to top 2,500 runs, have 33 employees when we are fully staffed. Right now, we are losing, we're notified we're losing 2 of our paid firefighters to other larger departments, which is what we have to go through because we're basically a stepping stone for entry firefighters. We get them trained and then we lose them. So we are out of space. The building itself was the apparatus bay was a strand steel building. When it was bought, when we had one engine and 1 tanker. Right now, we have 7 pieces of apparatus parked in there, and our aerial, our 95-foot tower, has exactly 3 inches of clearance from the main beam on the building. They have to line it up right down the center of the ladder, and if they miss, we've got damage. So we're also physically out of space for them to operate. There are 30 firefighters on shift. We split to 3 shifts, and we have 2 administrative personnel. And what we are asking for is $50,000 to approve a study so we can have an architectural and engineering firm tell us what we need to do with that building.
And that is the one out of the Fund 8961, correct?
Yes, that is that's out of our cumulative equipment and building fund.
Okay.
Mr. Shackelford,
Yes, sir.
I'm correct, that's the one at the top of Honey Creek Hill, right? The
Yes,
one right by
top
Honey
of
Creek Middle
Allendale,
School?
yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Yeah. And the second additional appropriation we're requesting is out of our general fire fund.
Yeah, and that's that's an additional appropriation 2024-35 out of Fund 8603.
And what we are requesting is $25,000. That $25,000 is going to be used to supplement the funding the Vigo County Redevelopment Commission are giving to the fire district, and we will be passing that on to the fire department to fund the hiring of 3 additional firefighters. And this came about because of the Intech tax abatement, and Mr. Witt and his board of directors agreed to help us in that respect. It will allow us to, if we can go back to full staffing, we'll have 11 firefighters on each shift and still have just the 2 administrative personnel. If anybody has any questions, I'd be willing to answer them for you. If not, thank you to the council for your time and your consideration of this action.
Any questions for Mr. Shackelford? Okay, thank you. Okay, next one looks like additional appropriation 2024-36 edit park improvements. Adam?
So Adam Grossman, Superintendent, Vigo County Parks, and got with me Rich Moore, our bike park manager. Hopefully this is the last time you guys see me this year after Tuesday.
It's way too early in the year to say that.
I'm trying real hard. We've got a quick video here to show you, if you'll
Okay.
indulge us real quick, kind of show you the area and a couple of unsolicited reviews of the park. A lot of YouTube videos out there of people coming into Griffin Bike Park from out of town. So no better way, picture's worth 1,000 words. So if we could show that real quick and then move into me talking some more.
Very good.
A couple months ago, I traveled to Terre Haute, Indiana to check out Griffin Bike Park. I was blown away and quickly realized that they didn't just build a world-class bike facility, they built a bike community. I had a great time riding with the locals, checking out all the trails. I sessioned the skills area, and I even got to pass on some tips to the locals.
Tens of thousands come from all around the state, the country, and even the world to strap on their helmets and hit the Griffin Bike Park trails.
We've had people from Alaska. We've had people from Canada. We had a couple that came from New Zealand.
But before it became a top destination, it was only an idea. Gene and Donna Griffin lost their son Dale in Afghanistan in 2009 and wanted to find a way to keep his memory alive.
Well, our kids were asking, they were saying, what do you think we could do to help remember Dale in this area? And that's when the idea of a bike was really bike trails. Do you think we could build some bike trails in Terre Haute?
That seemingly small concept grew into 300 acres of hills, twists, and lots of jumps, covering 18 miles of tracks and trails. And it's for bikers of all ages and skill sets.
And we have kids all the way from little bitty ones on Strider bikes all the way up to my age.
People come just to jump. They come just to go on the pump tracks. They come to do the short track races now that are like, 3/4 of a mile.
The park also remembers fallen Hoosier heroes along the popular Warrior Trail. On each side, you'll find their names and photos leading to a memorial for Dale Griffin.
They're being remembered, not just by their friends and family, but by all those that come.
We like to memorialize all the soldiers that we've lost since 9/11. That's what our park's about.
The Warrior Trail was first inspired by a young girl in a wheelchair.
We decided to build a trail that she could ride, so we built one with adaptive equipment in mind. It's a little wider, took out all the roots and all the real nasty humps, and we made something that even wounded warriors with hand bikes can ride.
And the park won't be hitting the brakes just yet. Moore hopes it will continue to grow, giving visitors more than they could imagine.
I like it when they're surprised at what they find, because as you drive in, there's cornfields everywhere. But when you get here, we go from beginner level trails that they would expect to when you get on the east side of the park, it's gnarly over there.
What's good, fam? Today we're out in the middle of nowhere in good old Indiana. My homie Rome and I hopped in the van last night, made our way down to Indiana. We are at Griffin Bike Park. This place is pretty wild. We just did kind of the Freedom Trail here, which was about 3.5 miles. They got a pump track here. And I'll walk you over here to which is the main reason why I wanted to come here. These things look pretty sweet. I saw this online when we were looking at it and definitely wanted to come check out this jump park.
AWOL Trail. You don't want to go into that. That one's long.
So that gave a little bit of a tour, and there's several of those videos. People come in from out of town, they didn't know we were here, but Rich is out on a trail somewhere, nobody's here. Nobody's around in the park other than running around some maintenance items. So what we're here for today, we currently have $366,000 dedicated from HFI funds, the Healthy First Indiana funds, for a capital improvement project that's going to help make citizens healthier, make our children healthier, give them opportunities, this out free of charge. They've done a lot of work for us in the bike park, coming up with site plan design, elevations, all that's done so far for us, if we choose to move on. So that's kind of the really quick high level. We're estimating 850,000. We've talked to a couple different contractors on the building itself. Then we've paved the pump track, redo the parking area, and install lighting. Rich will talk about why that's highly important here in a minute. Our goals for the project, one, youth programming, health benefit. Through these Health First Indiana funds, we want to show our percentage of unhealthy Vigo County citizens going down. We're like 72nd in the state. We keep doing things to try to knock that percentage down, give our youth those life skills classes, opportunities. With this, applying for programming money through those same funds, additional bikes, so we can give free bike rentals to youth in our programs, so they can come out and ride these. A lot of these kids don't have bikes, so giving them the opportunity to come out. I've talked with Thrive, Ryan Keller. They can give bus rides as long as it's city, county, county to city. They can give those bus rides from Boys and Girls Club or wherever necessary, and get those kids to our park and to this facility. Rich will talk more about that here in a second as well, with the partnership we have. I went off script there for a second, but so we need desperately needed office space, storage space, that community space, and vendor space. This building serves all of those purposes. To have somebody there all the time, that vendor space is going to be key. Helping keep an eye on the park, giving people that landing space. You saw this guy from Milwaukee. There's guys from Canada. There's people from Nebraska. Several people that just, I'm driving through for work and I want to stop, and I'm 5 hours away. It gives them somebody to talk to when they land at that park, and give them the opportunity. Here's other things in the community you can do. Here's where you can stay, and probably also sell them something while they're there. The vendor space would generate revenue, so we don't have to come back and ask for additional maintenance money. We lease that space at a per square foot cost. Right now we're estimating $10,000, $15,000 a year to be able to lease that space to them to run that micro shop, pro shop out of. Office space, Rich has got holes in his floors, literal holes covered with plywood, and places you can't step on the floor, you'll go through. We got an old trailer we just need to rip out of there and get some kind of new office space. That's incorporated in this building. Also the storage. Morris Trucking dedicated a trailer for us. Unfortunately, it's been hit by a couple trees. It's leaked. It's got mold all in it. Rich shouldn't even be in it. We got nowhere else to go with all these bikes. So that also hits a good point on this building. Kind of culminates all of our needs all into one building that will satisfy a ton of different items and check off a lot of boxes. Also fleet management. Rich can't keep up with all our bikes. If we got a vendor in there that can keep up with these bikes, we're going to need additional bikes for free bike rentals for youth. We also need somebody there to rent these hand bikes and things that for wounded warriors or people with accessibility issues. Right now, we really don't have a good way to get those bikes to those individuals. But with somebody there that we can say, go to that office, call this number, we'll set you up. It's free of charge. You can go out and use that bike. That's going to be huge, along with bike rentals. If you're not a kid in the program, we got a bike for you, but you're probably going to have to pay for that one. So that's my quick overview. I'm sure Rich has got a couple things to add.
I just wanted to add some of our numbers that we've seen over the last year. In 2023, we're right around 98,000 visitors. I was shocked. We had taken our counter out for a couple months and put it back in, and it shocked me. February 14th this year to March 16th, we had 983 hits on our traffic counter just in 1 month. More and more kids coming out all the time, and little bitty kids. I really need to get programming going for the little bitty kids. I can deal with the adults and the teens, but the little ones they're a handful. That's a whole different group. But when you get them going, it's great. 4-H is on board to help us get a program with this building, and this building will allow me to do stuff year round. Right now, I kind of had to stop in September. We're starting up again in May. This will allow me to do stuff. We can put the tables away, get them out of the way, and do stuff in there. It's gonna have hard surface walls to where we don't tear stuff up. We're currently at 32 miles of trails, we think. Nobody's ever ridden them all at once. We're afraid once we start riding them, we're gonna have way more than 32 miles. That's May 4th. So if you hear about me going to the hospital, you know I tried to ride them all one shot. But that's our day.
All right, any questions? Like I said, we've been in contact with Purdue Extension. They are really excited to take their educators, put them and these kids in the same building there, get those kids to them for these life skills, life lesson classes that they can do, along with the free bike rentals and things that we can provide for the youth.
I just want to make sure everybody realizes that we're talking about the additional appropriation 2024-36 that's coming out of the edit, and also the 2024-37 that's coming out of ARPA. So it's on page 12 and 13. So if you have any questions, I would just want to make sure these guys are up here talking about both of those in conjunction with money that you got from Health First Indiana to do. That's how you come up with the funding for this.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure everybody got the same picture that I got. I've sat in on a couple of meetings already, so I knew them more. Any questions for these two gentlemen?
I just have a couple. I think in addition to having bike rentals there, for people who might not have bikes, even transporting them. I look at, my husband likes to ride every now and then, although I don't know that he's quite adventurous to take on some of those, but transporting his bike, is not always the easiest thing. So even for people who live further away, that might be, an option,
I know,
too.
my wife hates it.
Huh?
My wife hates it.
I know, I'm like, don't put that on my car. But the other thing too, I think as you look at community space, where it's located, it's just a beautiful park, even if you're not a biker. I mean, it's just gorgeous. When I was there, when they opened the Warrior Trail for the, people with different abilities and so on, I think there's just so much potential we're missing. And like you said, having someone there, I cannot advocate for enough, but the community space, I think, would give us a chance, like you said, to have some extra stuff. And I've been hearing about your office for a while, so we need to do something.
So
You guys are doing amazing things.
Heather, our natural resources programmer, found out the hard way last week.
So I think everybody maybe we take this for granted. This is really quite a jewel that we have here in our county that thanks to the family, the Griffin family that's partnered with them to do this.
This evening in the back.
Yeah, I see him back. I run into people from Indianapolis that are here for a meeting and they say, hey, did you realize how great a park you guys have here? So I don't think unless you're in that world, you may not realize what it is. And I think this is going to make it that much, takes it to that next level, gives it that destination, gives it the something that takes it to the next level that we already have. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, additional appropriation 2024-38 ARPA. This is chances for service, chances and service for youth. Page 14 is what this one is.
Good evening. Brandon Halleck with Chances and Services for Youth. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I appreciate you allowing me to come here and chat about this. First of all, just a quick overview of Chances. We're a local nonprofit organization located primarily at the Booker T. Washington Community Center at 13th and College, 13th Street corridor. We have a little over 14 programs, nearly 30 staff, and we cover, depending on the type of programming, we cover a 24-county area in Indiana, anywhere from primarily in Vigo County and then the contiguous counties, but depending on the programming, we actually have some early childhood education program that we're working with folks over in Richmond and Muncie. So a wide area that we operate, but again, the bulk of our programming happens here in Vigo County, and that's really what we've focused on. Our organization has been around for a little over 50 years. Actually, we're one organization that's kind of merged over the years between about 3 or 4 different organizations. Big Brothers Big Sisters is a program of ours that actually has this beat. They started in the mid 60s. Casey started in 71. So great programming going on there. And a note that I was talking to earlier, we've been providing before and after school care, summer camps for the last 16 years, and again, working with child care providers. The bulk of our programming has always been greatly reduced. We scholarship right now 81% of our kiddos that go to the before and after school care and summer camps. And when I say scholarship, that's generally half off. I know Mike sitting over here has served on, but prior to becoming a city attorney, has served on my board for, 12, 15 years prior to. Saw the budgets on many of those going, yeah, we just don't charge. I always say scholarship. I always joke around going, we gotta quit saying scholarship because it's just, we just don't charge the full rate. We give them half off or free. And as I go into this, I don't know how far we'll be able to dive in a little bit with the Child Care Center, but that's what I'm here to talk about today, that we see a need in our community, and I think our organization has been able to act upon those needs. Just recently, too, starting in January, we saw FSA Counseling close their doors in December, and we were able to pick up counseling services. We picked up many of their counseling services for the community to be another nonprofit counseling organization in Vigo County and the surrounding counties. And that's a great thing, having an organization with a little bit of a size and does a pretty good job, I think, of fundraising and grant writing, is that we're able to really work with the community and to address those needs and concerns. So enough about that. Just to give a little brief, Casey sometimes gets lost in there. They'll know about programs, but they don't see the whole picture of what all the organization does. And there's a lot more than that. And people give me sometimes a little too much credit. I have phenomenal staff that really do the work. I just come up and talk about things. So, but you've got the packet. I've talked with most of you about this. Chances, again, looking at childcare as a need in our community, found or located a building just on North Hunt Road. It's an old warehouse, 50,000 square feet, that we'll be able to renovate into the first phase, 192 high-quality child care center. Our goal would be that within the first year, we'd end up being a pass quality level 4, which is the highest. There's some timelines on that. I think pass quality 3 is by 6 months. It'll take another 6 months to hit quality 4, which is the highest. We'll also work to become military certified. We've actually met with the 181st out there. And one of the joys of maybe working with a nonprofit in child care center of this nature is that the military asked us, they said, I said, what are some needs? And they mentioned that like a weekend care for their drill weekends. And so 1 weekend a month, I'll work to provide child care for the military personnel. Now, of course, I know there's payment on all that stuff, but just being able to manage that. We look to possibly do extended care. Can we be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.? That was the other thing. They mentioned that they have a lot of folks that start at 6:30. It's hard to find child care that starts before 7 a.m. And so the extended hours specifically for military personnel, but could benefit others, would be another avenue that we would look at for the child care center. The location also it's before you get to Old Maple Road. So when you're looking at it, we're 5 minutes to the Terre Haute Regional Airport, the 181st, 5 minutes to the casino. When I say that, to the workers at the casino, not the staff heading to the casino, but for the workers at the casino. We're 15 minutes to downtown, 15 minutes to IB Tech, 15 minutes to Brazil. Looking at folks going into Great Dane or some of the other manufacturers over there, coming or going back and forth, whether they work here, work there, live there. And 15 minutes, and then a 20-minute drive door to door to the industrial park. The 641 bypass helps that tremendously to get from the east side down 46, the bypass, and then into the industrial park. You could potentially drop your kid off and be at work and in the building within 30 minutes. And I know that sounds like a long time, but for anybody who's ever lived in a large city, 30 minutes to get where you need to go is not, and I don't believe there's a railroad in between that. So I think we're safe. We're safe there too. Again, in your package, you'll see 2 phases. The first phase at 192 kids. The second phase, an additional 96 kids. That would be further down the road, a total of 288 children possibly. The initial phase would be 35,000 square feet, with the building purchase and renovations coming in at $6.8 million. We've hired Mike Halstead, Halstead Architects, to come up with this plan. He's the one that is currently working with Ernie Pyle to the north of us. He worked with Crawfordsville. He's currently building Shelbyville. Has a lot of experience in building child care centers and understands all the plethora of rules and regulations that you have to have, and so how big a classroom has to be, how many restrooms you have to have per classroom, things of that nature. So you'll see phase 1 and phase 2 on there, along with the rendering of what the facility exterior and interior could look like. You know, there's also been discussions, and stop me at any time if you have questions here. There's also been discussions for, you know, seeking employment. You know, we understand that there's always going to be issues with employment. But specifically looking at a CDA pathway. So CDAs are your Child Development Associate credentials. You know, right now you can earn them from Ivy Tech. We would encourage folks to also, there's self-paced that could be offered through Casey and through some other state organizations. We've had some high level discussions possibly with the school corporation in looking at how could we, you know, by your junior year, start a CDA program, and by the end of your senior year, you graduate with a CDA. Maybe you're going to work part-time or full-time. You know, we're going to need part-time staff, but you're working part-time at a child care center while you're going to school at ISU to be a teacher. Phenomenal experience for these kids, young adults, I should say, young adults at that age, to have that experience, or maybe it is their goal to work in child care. Now, currently, just some current level numbers, and I will say, too, that we plan to increase the salaries on our teachers and our teachers' aides to make it a little bit more livable with that. You know, I would encourage and push for high-quality child care, but you can't have inexpensive. We could try our best to make it affordable, high-quality child care, and I've got some ideas that I'll share with you on ways that we could possibly do that, too. Just to give you some quick numbers, and there's tons of numbers in here. If you like numbers and data, I provided it all for you to put you to sleep later on. But Vigo County currently has 59 high-quality programs. That's level 3 or level 4 with a capacity of 1,575 spots. That's it for high-quality child care in Vigo County. This early learning center would increase the capacity of Vigo County by 11% initially by adding those 192 spots. Other notable points that I might make is that it's estimated that we have a little over almost 5,500 children under the age of 6 who may need care, and yet the county only has 148 programs with a capacity of 3,182. And so those are some of the issues that we're facing, of a lack of quality, a lack of child care, period, and then a lack of high quality child care, that this early learning center, which I believe will rival some of the others that I won't mention, of the national for-profit larger ones out there. I think that we can do just as good, if not better of a job, because we're focused on, as a nonprofit, on the community, on the families, and not on making a profit on that. Obviously, we'll accept CCDF voucher program assistance from families. My goal is to also leverage with local businesses and community members on how can we create additional funds for scholarships for families that just miss the CCDF voucher cutoff. And when I say that, we'll have families who will come into the office who miss it by $100 a year. Not a paycheck, but a year, $100. And so how can we still work with families to make that affordable for everybody? And if you can afford to pay, then we encourage that payment there. But if it could be some sort of scholarship, we're looking at that as well, all levels that we possibly can. I think is that enough information on this initial?
Any questions?
I think the partnership, I kind of talked to you about that with the businesses. I think we're gonna need some investment, and I mean, it's for their employees. You know, a lot of places will have their own child care center, but you are providing a resource in the community that they will not have to run. But by providing support or even some of that scholarship assistance, I know many people who have just missed, especially when they're a young family starting out, to qualify for any kind of assistance. So to have any of that, I think, would be huge, especially for when you think about people who work in lower paying but very important jobs in our community. So appreciate that.
Well, and I think too about the other programs that we have at the office, you know, whether it's our child passenger safety with car seats and giving away car seats to families for free. I think they'll have some abilities that all child care centers or child care or all families have, but there may be a faster direct line that these are some of the services we have to offer. We know she might need this, you know, whether it's, you know, even community health workers of some sort, you know.
Thanks for all I know you've done a lot of work in this. Thank you.
Yes, and this is purely, I think I was talking to Travis earlier. I said, I didn't necessarily need to do this, you know, but it was one of those things where I think that it's our job to take a look at how we can impact in our community and make it better. And I think this is one of the ways that we can do that.
Well, I think a lot of us have been through that, having tried to find childcare and high quality, it's essential. And I would drive a half hour easily
Yeah.
to get it.
Yes.
I would say one tremendous asset for this particular location is the development that will come on that east side, 46th corridor, and also, for the teachers, for the schools out there, the stores out there, the airport. I understand they're going to be having a flight service here soon, so it's going to start getting pretty busy. It's an excellent location.
And that's why we went to the east side, because I did think that it would be benefiting. It's still close enough to a lot of locations, and with the bypass, we could help satisfy the southern part, but on the east side, it can still help with the northern side as well.
Any other questions for Mr. Howard? Anybody? Thank you for your effort you put in on that. I definitely would agree that this is something that a community need, and so I appreciate your all the work that you put into this point.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we next have item number 6 is additional appropriation 2024-39 ARPA manna from 7. Hand out a flyer here for us, brochure.
Hello. I would like to thank Mark Finkenbeard for setting this up for me, and President Thacker, members of the council, for listening to me. I'm here just to tell you a little bit about Manna from 7. We are a nonprofit primarily operating as a food pantry. We work out of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. The space that we use is free to us. There's no overhead whatsoever. Our primary mission is to provide food, beverage, non-food items such as diapers, dog and cat food, feminine hygiene. We just try to provide a whole package for what a person might need, with the idea that we want people to be job ready. How do we do this? We set up a drive-through line for people coming in their vehicle. They get in line on 8th Street, and we have volunteers going out on 8th Street and talking to the occupants of the vehicles, asking how many families are you picking up for. Typically on a Friday, we serve 350 to 400 families. We have a lot of safety measures in place because it is drive-through and there's a pedestrian and vehicles mixing in the alley. People that don't have a vehicle are invited to come up to our walk-up area. We try to keep people that are not volunteers for Manna, we try to keep them out of the alley and in a separate location so that they can be served. And typically we see 50 to 60 families every week that just come to us on foot, on a bicycle, on the city bus. In 2020, April of 2020, we initiated a home delivery aspect of our ministry. And this is directly related to COVID, when the state shut down and people couldn't get out and they were out of work and they had to stay home. So we started taking food to them, and that ministry alone has grown to about 150 families. Every Saturday morning, we have about 20 to 25 drivers. Some of these drivers are sitting back here. Over half the people at this meeting are Manna from 7 people in the back 2 rows. Other services that we offer are a free laundry service every Wednesday. We use a local laundromat, Suds on 3rd. We provide the quarters for the machines. We provide detergents, bleaches. We always pack up snacks and beverages to take to those coming to do their laundry. In addition to our main pantry at St. Stephen's, we have a couple of additional smaller pantries. Somebody earlier tonight mentioned ThyssenKrupp. We have a pantry inside their building, and this serves the employees' families, friends, neighbors, anyone that they deem in need. They're welcome to just take whatever is available at that pantry. We have another pantry in West Terre Haute at St. George Episcopal Church, and it's the same type of thing as ThyssenKrupp. They They don't have open hours, but anyone is welcome to, notify a church member or notify somebody from St. Stephen's, and we will make sure that they get food. That pantry is also used to fill blessing boxes throughout the West Terre Haute area. We do at least 5 on a fairly regular basis. Everything that we do at MANA, we try to coordinate our efforts with other agencies that are similar to us. Like we have a cooperative relationship with Covenant Cooperative Ministries. We have a relationship with Lighthouse Mission. When we have more of something than we need, we try to get it out to other agencies that can use it. We always end up with a lot of personal hygiene, things to clean the house, just about anything you can think of that would come from like a drugstore, a Walgreens store, or a CVS store. We end up with tons and tons of this stuff. And like Stacy at Lighthouse Mission, she's happy to receive this, and we're happy to receive her overabundance of chicken or ham or something like that. We rent a box truck every Thursday, a big 26-foot Penske truck, dock height with the lift gate, that I'm actually the driver of this truck. Take it over to the food bank in Indianapolis called Midwest Food Bank. They fill up the truck, we bring it back, and we start unloading it, sometimes on Thursday and primarily on Friday morning. We have to do everything with that truck within a 24-hour period. And this truck is the point of me talking to you tonight. We are hoping that you will help us purchase our own truck. The full cost of the truck would be in the area of $150,000. And we don't expect that to come from this council, but we would like help with the purchase price. That's our primary pickup and our primary source of food, Midwest Food Bank in Indianapolis. But within Terre Haute and Vigo County, we also pick up usually twice a week from Covenant Cooperative Ministries, but we don't have the use of the truck because we only get it for a 24-hour period. So for those pickups, we have to use our own vehicles, which is wear and tear. It's multiple trips. It's more volunteer hours. And if we could just have this truck parked somewhere, then we could just use the truck for all of these needs. We have a budget that will provide the maintenance, the insurance, the fuel, a parking place for the truck. We just don't have a budget for the truck itself. Everything that MANA does is done by volunteers. We have no paid staff, and everything that we give away is given to us. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for listening. Any
Sure.
questions?
Yeah, I think we have questions. That's all. I was just going to see.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Say it's roughly $150,000.
Yes. Mhm.
You have plans to put $100,000?
We will be speaking, I've already met with Mayor Sackbun once, and we will be speaking to the city council as well. And then I received an email from Mayor Sackbun saying that he is going to be releasing some ARPA funds to United Way, that he is encouraging us to apply for those as well.
Hopefully they can match your
Sure. Hopefully, yeah. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, item 7, additional appropriation 2024-40, ARPA, Vigo County Fairgrounds, on page 16 for us.
Council group, thanks for having me up here. My name is Daniel Armstrong. I'm with Vigo County Fairgrounds. We are currently working on a project to redo our entire water system. It's extremely dilapidated. To be quite honest, I think a lot of it was donated and wasn't put into code and things like that. I mean, we're dealing with Schedule 20 plastic pipe in the ground, 50-year-old iron pipe, things like that. It's really been causing havoc on our pocketbooks. We're non-for-profit, obviously, and we were experiencing pretty hefty leaks and sewage bills over the course of this last winter, and there was nobody even there using the facilities. But obviously, you know, this grounds is a very good source for the community. It's used by, you know, about everybody. I'm sure at some point in time has been here and enjoyed it. You know, local law enforcement uses it constantly for canine training, things like that. So this is something we're really trying to get the entire water system redone. We're trying to stretch every penny we get towards this project, doing a lot of the work ourselves, getting a lot of different quotes, trying to, you know, like I said, stretch every penny as long, you know, as far as we can. So, but we are asking for appropriations of $75,000 to help with this project. So that's pretty much it. Anybody got any questions on it?
Any questions? Do you know what the, and I probably heard this number before, do you know what your estimate total cost? It was estimated expenditure?
We've had to adjust the scope of the project. I think, you know, originally we were at around $150,000. Obviously, we've had to tone that in, but I think right now we feel pretty comfortable with about $85,000 total to get everything done, especially with us being able to do a lot of the work ourselves.
Great. Mr. Morse, you have anything you want to add on that?
No, I'm just up here for moral support. I've been on the Fair Board for over 20 years.
Okay.
And, you know, these, paying these sewage bills for no water that's even used, why it gets pretty expensive. It's really an industrial facility, and it costs a lot of money to keep it maintained. And, but there's a lot of great volunteers, as whether with all these projects you've heard this evening that make it work.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next item we have, we're going over the Boys and Girls Club. We're going to, tonight, so we're going to additional appropriations for 2024-42 ARPA building renovation.
Good evening once again. The county commissioners are requesting $50,000 in ARPA funds for the renovation of a room in the courthouse for 2 small holding cells for inmates waiting for court. When the jail moved to the new location, we no longer have any holding cells. The judges and sheriffs have both requested this space, and it is actually a space in the secure entrance on the north side. I am told that it was once built for that purpose. I'm not sure if that's true or not. It has windows in it now, but if you'll look on, I handed out an estimate from Garmong on the cost of this, and also has a little layout in the back. It would have 2 small holding cells. This could help during lunch breaks, things like that. It's right now, it has been used as basically a tool room for our maintenance guys, but they have cleared those out, and we think this is, well, pretty much it's the only option in the courthouse for a holding cell. There is no other room in there to put anything. So this is a reasonable, I think, a reasonable cost to have something like this. So be happy to take any questions. You're welcome to take those handouts and look at the estimates. Pretty much everything to make it inmate proof.
How long would it take to just get it done?
I would say a couple months. Yeah. Once we gave them the okay, they would put on their schedule, and nothing in here really is hard to get item, anything like that. So we could have this done pretty quick.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just have one. Is this just for, I'm just trying to envision it, for a single person, or will it have multiple?
Either two. I mean, I'm not a deputy or a policeman, but I would think that you wouldn't want more than one in that small
Right, that's what I just wanted to
cell.
make sure. Okay.
Any other
I
questions?
see it on the back. Thank you. I saw it on the back now.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
And looks like we have, next item is Additional appropriation 2024-43 ARPA for the Vigo County Juvenile Center on page 19.
Good evening, Norm Loudermill, Executive Director of the Juvenile Center. With me is my Assistant Director, Sydney Hunter. I was told to make a PowerPoint presentation, so that's what I did. I'm sorry, it won't take forever, but I just want to, I'm not trying to, but I would have done a short one and handed a brochure if I knew it was going to work. So, anyway, some things I think that you need to know. The commissioners wanted me to make sure we talked about. Some fallacies that are going on with respect to juvenile justice and what we're doing in the state of Indiana and what's happening with our building. So we kind of want to let you know. I've talked to all of you. It's not working. There we go.
There we go.
I'm not going to bore you with this, but just simply this goes to a lot of other presentation I do without the community and when I talk to people, but what is not there anymore. So this is for ARPA, there it is, and what it's intended for. You guys know what it's meant for, but the big thing is it's really a temporary operating for shortfalls until economic conditions or operation normalize. For us, obviously, there are a lot of people in the community that need money and need support, and you've seen them come through. All those are, very worthy causes, but I think that ours, even though we're part of the county government, we need some of that ARPA money as well. So, can just cue you.
There you go. That's back to the beginning.
That's working, like you're touching it.
Now she's going to work fading in now.
Yep, like that fade.
Yeah.
All right, so these are some things I want to make sure that everybody knows. It's simply facts. There's not conjecture, it's not opinion, it's absolute truth. And so there are 92 counties in Indiana. Indiana has 91 jails. 2 of the counties share a jail. And that's important because there's only 17 juvenile centers in Indiana. And Grant County closed theirs in 2022. The closest one to ours just recently closed, which is Southwest Youth Village, which is closed effective March 29th. They stopped taking kids in February. They still have 50 kids to get rid of, and nobody will take them because there's just simply no room. So geographically, from Indianapolis west to the state line, from Evansville to Gary, the Vigo County Juvenile Justice Center is the only detention center. That's it. We take kids from 47 different counties right now. There's a map of the detention centers and kind of what I want to get this a little bit. Knox County is colored in blue, but Knox County is not there anymore. They're closed. So you see a lot of detention centers across the top of the state, a lot near Indianapolis in the center, and then some down south. But really on this side, state, everything from Newton County, Lake, all the way over to Marion and down to Vanderburgh, there's nothing. All the counties are white, there's no detention centers. We're getting phone calls from people as far as Ann Arbor, Michigan, from just outside of St. Louis in Illinois, from Champaign. And so, we're getting those phone calls because, people don't have any place to take kids. Not that it's our responsibility to take them, but I think there's opportunity that if they need to be held and we hold them, that we're able to generate revenue that will help offset the cost of our tax dollars and what the taxpayers pay to do the things we're going to be doing anyway, which is house kids. So currently we have 16 cells with 19 beds. Our compliance standards, we right now are at risk of failing. The building was built in 2001 and things have changed with the Department of Corrections. Even with the Department of Education, which we get money for our food and for the after-school snack program. Housing in this new facility, I want to talk about that for a minute, would be about 40,000 square foot, a new court system, probation, clerks, and detention, with the modern ADA facility built for its intended purpose. You know, half of the building that we're in right now is built as a jail for juveniles, and that's fine. But with this project isn't just a detention center, it's a center for the courts and probation as well. And so, you know, I think it's important to know that it's just not for the kids to be locked up, it's also to increase, you know, many of the things that we're doing over there with respect to probation and courts. This is an overview, kind of a floor plan, if you will, of the juvenile center. And this plan was kind of approved by the commissioners. We've been working with them for over a year. Eric Ratz from DLZ, we've been working with him. And so this is kind of the plan we came up with. The bottom part of the plan, and many of you have seen this already, but this is the courts and probation area. And the top part of the plan, of course, is the medical area, which we don't have, and an intake area, and then classrooms, and of course the housing for the kids. Cost of construction is roughly about $15 million. Staffing costs will only be additional $194,000. I need 7 more people, and they can be part-time or full-time. They don't have to be full-time people. There's this misnomer that we are going to be hiring 7 or 8 more people, and that would cost would not be worth building this building, and that's simply untrue. The cost to operate this facility at its full capacity would be additional $194,000 for the extra part-time people, and that's when we get to full capacity, which is 40 beds. Around 15 of those detainees would be Vigo County detainees. That's about what we average for Vigo County. The rest of the people would be for out of county. Now, obviously, if the out of county didn't come, then that would open up more for in county. We're here to serve the residents of Vigo County and to serve the commissioners and taxpayers, and so we're not going to be turning anyone away, obviously, if they're from Vigo County. Just wanted to kind of give you a breakdown. If we used our current fee of $150 a day, we could generate about $1.3 million a year. And $1.3 million a year would nearly pay for all of the operating costs. Not quite, because of the salary increases from Baker Tilly that really put an increase in those items. But generally, it would pay for about 2/3 of the operating costs, if not a little bit more. And that would be just out of county paying our fair share, so that's pretty important. But until that time, we're always talking about what the future of juvenile detention is in Indiana. The stakeholders, judges, legislators, they want to see more treatment facilities, focus on trauma intervention, coping skills, healthy relationships, things like that. Less detention, more intervention. That makes sense. We want to try to help fix the kid before he gets to detention so that we don't have him in detention for very long and therefore he doesn't graduate to the jail. But here's the reality, okay? This is not what people want to talk about. In 2021, there was a Juvenile Justice Reform Act that was passed federally, and then we had to adopt it from the state level. And one of the laws that it talked about is under IC 313312, which talks about the fact that you cannot hold a juvenile who's been charged as an adult within sight or sound of an adult inmate. So we have 17 people in the juvenile center right now. 8 of them are charged as adults. In 2020, we could have taken them to jail the minute they were booked in. Now we can't. And with Montez Ellington, which you all know that case, had to stay at our facility for nearly a year and a half, a facility that just isn't meant for that long-term hold. And there are, you read the paper and hear the news, other acts of violence that are occurring in our community, not just outside, but in our community, that we're going to have to hold those kids until they turn 18 and go to the jail. We're not equipped to house them near someone that's there for runaway. But because we're a small facility, they have to be housed together. So I think we're talking about a liability issue for the county that people are just overlooking. And so instead of getting in a situation like we have at the jail, I want to be proactive instead of reactive. So just a big law that says what you have to do to consider a kid going to jail He still can if he's below the age of 18, but he has to reach all these criteria. The court has to consider the age of the juvenile, the physical maturity, the mental state, all of these things, history of delinquency, before they can even be taken out. So people say, well, there are ways that the judge can remove him from the juvenile center and put him in an adult jail to wait charges, but if he doesn't meet that criteria, they can't. And then it talks about reviewing the case 180 days. And so you're asking for the courts, which we all know is already bogged down enough, which is why the jail is crowded. So now we're asking to do even more if we put the kids over there. So we're going to have to hold these kids, and we just simply aren't equipped for that. And when the place was built in 2001, that law didn't exist. And so another example of unfunded state mandate that says we're going to have to hold these kids, and we're looking for a way to try to do something better, and we just simply need a new facility. But until that happens, then we would like for you to consider giving us $400,000 of ARPA money so that we can add an addition to the back of our building. The addition would be a Sally Port, which really had nothing to do with housing, but it has everything to do with storage. Our current Sally Port is the only place we can store refrigerators and freezers, because we go to the jail every day and pick up food for the kids and bring them back there. So their snacks, the milk, water, everything we keep is in the Sally Port. And so now when the kids show up, either for transport by law enforcement or they leave to go to court or the doctor, it's really unsafe by taking them out of that facility exposed to the public and not have them already in a vehicle pulling out of the Sally Port. Plus, it kind of violates the confidentiality law when you're walking a kid out in shackles and people are driving by seeing him. And with all of the violent offenders that are in there right now, it puts everyone at risk. So we went to the commissioners and they've asked us to, I told them our problem, and we came up with a temporary short-term solution to add on to our facility. So $400,000, $380,000 of it would be for the building. That would be in addition, 2-car Sally Port. We had our meal van shot at, and we've had to repair it a couple of times while it's set next to the building. And so we would like to put that van inside of the building so it doesn't get shot anymore. And then we'd also like to have another Sally Port open so that we could have law enforcement or transports be able to come in and close that door. And the other $20,000 we would use for counseling and programming, which is kind of what the council, I think, really wanted us to do with it. And so not a lot of details about that, just the fact that we're going to keep working with the 4 of our current providers to increase the amount of counseling that we do. So our building right now is kind of cut off in the back to the west. This is the outdoor rec area, and there's the single Sally Port. We would just add an addition to square off the building in the back, and on the north side, we provide for, that's what the back of it would look like. These were done by DLZ, and we have a budgetary quote from a contractor for about $370,000 to build the facility. So we're hoping we can value engineer that down a little bit and save a little bit of room to do some things and save the county some money. That's what it looked like on the north side where we'd have a walk-in door. Currently, there's no walk-in to the Sally Port. So every time we take the trash out, we raise and lower that door, and it just causes more wear and tear. That Sally Port door cost me $8,000 last year. So we just need to be able to try to do things a little more efficient. And that's really the end of the addition Sally Port part. Programming and counseling, we're going to work on crisis intervention, trauma-based relational intervention, coping skills, substance abuse, anger management, and life and job skills. And that's just really what we use now with Choices Counseling, Hamilton Center, first responder counseling. FSA used to come until they left town, so they're no longer in business here, but we're always looking for people. We've had meetings with Bloomington Meadows to provide some extra stuff for us. It just didn't work out because they were out of town to do some intensive outpatient therapy, but at the juvenile center, obviously. So that's what we'd like to ask for is a total of $400,000, $380,000 of it-ish would go toward the construction and the addition of this building, and then the other 20,000 would go to programming and counseling services. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Harwell? I think you did a very thorough job. I thought, you had lost me for a little bit. I thought we were asking for 15 million there, and then you came back around, so.
She's on me. She said, just keep it short, but I thought, I don't want to, the commissioner wanted me to make a presentation.
Yes.
I think that RJL did as well, so.
I just have a real quick one, I promise. With us, and I've expressed this before, like counties having to pick up jail costs. I mean, I can't tell you how many counties around us are building new jails, and then now seeing that I forget what it's called, but down in Knox County, the Southwest Youth Intervention Center. With us being so regional, is there any money from the state at all, or is that someone we need to talk to lawmakers about? Because to me, they're leaving the counties behind, and we need to help these kids, and we need to be able to provide them a safe place to be.
So is there money available? If there is, I'll apply for it. I got a $180,000 grant from the Department of Health, which I talked to you all about, which we're making improvements. So if there's money available, I'll go after it. I just don't know that there is. It's unfortunate. What the legislatures get is that the popular thought is, let's do something other than lock these kids up. And then they turn around and pass a law that says we need to lock them up and keep them away from adults. So they're really, and it's not their fault. The federal government passed it and said, if you don't pass this, we won't give you any state funding. So I would love if one of our legislatures would step up and give a forgivable grant or some matching grant or something. I could have $1 million a year that I could match it with to help the county out, either in operation or building costs. I have counties that want to sign contracts and will pay for bed space whether they use them or not, just to guarantee they got a spot instead of asking and begging. On Thursday last, I turned down 5 people, 5 different counties because we didn't have the space.
Well, I'd be willing to meet with some of them with you if you wanted to, because I feel like, again, we're continuing to see, whether it be our courts, whether it be, our CASA programs, whatever, we're just seeing continual stuff passed on to counties, and luckily, we're in, I think, better shape than a lot of other counties, but it's unfair to the community, it's unfair to the people who need help too, so.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, it's unreal.
And the next item, thank you, Norm. The next item we have, Mike, you have
You
something?
understand that our request was for a Sally Port?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he brought us back, he brought us back around to it. Yeah, it was a request for Sallyport, yeah. So the next one we have is additional appropriation 2024. We're not going to hear that one tonight, but I did skip over something earlier, and so if I could have, okay, yes, I'm sorry.
Have an email. We should have something next week for the county to review. I'm not sure it'll be at the meeting, but they should have some information back to the auditor's office so we can look at that. So that's to let you guys
Very
know
good.
where we're at
Yeah.
with Nyhart.
Okay.
And so the item that we have earlier is I'd ask, and this is the first time I'd had one, and so Michael is going to help us with a proclamation.
Yes, thank you, President Thacker, members of the council, Michael Wright, council attorney. I meant to bring this up. I apologize during the resolutions and ordinances other than appropriations. President Thacker presented a proclamation that reads as follows. Whereas a day, April 28th, on which our nation, after the tireless efforts of the labor movement and dedicated advocates, determined that a governmental agency of occupation, safety, and health should be established to assure safe and healthful working conditions for all workers. Whereas this date is now recognized across this country and in the world to remember and honor workers who have been killed or disabled in the course of their work. Whereas the AFL-CIO theme for 2024 is good jobs, safe jobs, protect our rights. Whereas in the state of Indiana in 2022, there were 156 fatal work-related injuries and countless more illnesses, injuries, and disabling accidents. Whereas we recognize that workplace injuries can be prevented by awakening awareness of dangerous conditions. Whereas Eugene V. Debs dedicated his life in labor to ensure the safety and health of workers in and beyond his home in Vigo County. Whereas we dedicate ourselves to improving safety and health in our county by seeking higher standards and better enforcement and fair and just compensation. Therefore, the Vigo County Council proclaims April 28th, 2024 Workers' Memorial Day and urges all people in the county to honor these fallen and injured workers by calling for increased workplace safety, standards, and practices. And that's all.
Yeah, so the significance of that is that's the day that the federal government created OSHA.
Yes.
So April the 28th, and so there will be a service on that at the Debs Society on April 28th where people can read a list of names of people who have fallen. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was my first one going through since I've been on council, so I wasn't sure of the process of it. Now at this time we would have public comment. If there's anybody from the public that would like to make a comment.
Could I just address
Yeah,
something real
absolutely.
quick here? Mark Lincolnbeard, Vigo County Commissioner. First, I appreciate everything that Norm does with the detention center. I think he's doing a great job. I just want to make it clear that the commissioners are not in a position right now to make a decision on building a
Right,
new
yeah.
facility. This was just, again, as Mike said, just for a sally port, but I just want to make sure that this doesn't get out there that the commissioners are looking to spend $15 to $20 million on a security center, a juvenile detention center. Maybe that is down the road somewhere, but just want to clarify that.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, as my statement is I thought that's where we were going down, but then he brought it in that reality is right now this is what we need to operate, and so I understood that. So, everybody, any questions for Norm or Mr. Klinkenbeer? Any other public comment? Not, we accept a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made by Councilperson Weger, seconded by Councilperson Thies. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I guessed an hour and 25 minutes. I was pretty close. Thank you.